we go. Yeah, got to get the vibe going, folks. Hello, how are y'all doing? So good to see everybody. Little Crosby, Stills, and Nash on the first album. I'll tell you what, I would take anything to go back to 1970. I don't know about you, but wow. Hey, so sending favor out to everybody. How is everybody? I'll tell you what, been a very strange day here in the Steiger house. Lots of activity going on. For instance, let me just speak favor over all of this. I speak calmness, that peace that surpasses all understanding. May it mount guard and make its presence known whoever sees us. That peace reigns supreme in us. But anyway, and by the way, I've got old Max here. So big old virtual hug, everybody. Yeah, Papa understands. It's crazy out there. So here we were last night, preparing dinner, and every smoke alarm, every alarm in the house went off. And it was weird. I mean, even when we got it calmed back down, it was like, well, now that's just strange. And even today has been very interesting. There's a lot going on. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Lost in Space. Hey, Darth, what's up? Loretta, Michael, good to see you. Isby, Peter, Susie Q, Deborah Stone, Blazing River, how are you doing? So good to see everybody. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh. I don't know about you, but for myself, time is not fluid for me. It is fluid. It's not stationary in its perspective. I see time moving. We all do, I guess. And, speaking of Rush, I remember when I was out in California back in the 90s, Rush Limbaugh. Yeah. Anyway, he's on the other side now, and his questions are being addressed, I am sure, and he is adjusting. So we wish him well. Hey, Nina, what's up? She has her show on Facebook right after mine. Hey, Tanya, what's up? Good to see you. Hello, Jenny. Good to see you. We'll do our show on Friday. Hey, Lucky Stone. Appreciate you, brother. Time is never stagnant. Ain't that the truth? Hey, Stephanie, what's up? So we're sending out positive vibrations, positive change for the people in Texas. Texas is like ground zero. And the question it really has to ask, is this nature or is this something else? Is this nature and maybe something added to the coffee? I don't know. We're going to discuss it. There's good evidence that says maybe. Indeed. So I'm just looking at everyone. Hey, Z Hunter, what's up? Boots on the ground. Well, you're welcome. So we just send you folks down there. It's bad, folks. And let me just show you some of the stuff that is happening. And many of you who are living this freaking nightmare, you know it. I have to say, living up here in Colorado, we are not experiencing the turbulence that everybody is. But NPR, deep freeze in Texas, pushing up crude oil, gasoline prices. Folks in Texas, I'm telling you, your electric bills are going. Many of you are going to say, well, it's kind of good we didn't have any electricity. But with all seriousness, people are freezing. And the amount of property damage that is going to be incurred, again, busted water pipes, cracked foundations, but it's impacting all of us. Texas is where a lot of the oil refineries are. It's where the chemical plants are. Anyone who's ever gone from Houston all the way up to Lake Charles knows that, and down all the way to Corpus Christi. that's what the Texas coastline is. So it's going to hit us all. And it's almost as if, I wouldn't say I am suspicious, but I am suspicious of what's really going on here. So the real big story, folks, is this. Food prices. Now, I lived in Texas, lived in Austin, lived in Houston, and in between. And at one time, I was doing a project for the TEA, Texas Education Agency, and did a lot of work down in the Rio Grande Valley in Mission, Texas. And that whole region down there is what supplies most of the fresh fruit, vegetables and fruit, to much of the United States. Yes, we have the San Joaquin Valley, and yes, we have Mexico, but when this disaster that hit down there, I've read today that they're losing virtually the whole crop, all the crops, frozen. This is going to impact all of us. If you like fresh vegetables, get ready to pay a lot more for them because they're going to get a lot more expensive. And I'm going to get Dwayne back on from Adapt 2030, and because this is the next thing, folks. The food shortages. This is not going to be a joke. This is going to be some serious impacting. This one talks about beer. Now, I don't drink beer. There was a time when I drank beer, but listen, soda, don't drink that. But then again, a lot of people do. Canned soups. Yes. Get out and buy soup. It does have a long shelf life. Canned corn. Now, last year, there was, for nearly 3 months, this shortage on peas. Now, let me tell you about peas. Peas are the closest equivalent in protein as meat. Canned corn, yeast, you don't think about it, but I like baking, and it is a discipline that I am learning. You see, as a cook, I'm a really good cook. My wife says I'm one of the best she's ever had the privilege of tasting, so she says. But anyway, is that you can adjust as you're going. Baking, not so. But anyway, yeast, flour, yes. Seeds. This is, and I can tell you right now, the availability of seeds is difficult, sparse. If you got them, be happy. If you're looking to get them, now is the time. If, beef and poultry, we've seen this already. This is huge. By the way, there's a reason why Spam helped win the war in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I mean, this stuff, yeah. I don't know about snack foods, but these are some of the things that you're going to see. This is massive food shortages. Let me tell you, not looming down in Texas. The long lines to get into the grocery stores. Problem is, grocery stores, they don't have power either. Backup generators are not working. This is serious stuff. And if you're sitting in your home with the temperature at 38 degrees, the refrigerator hasn't worked, freezer isn't working. And if you didn't have propane or another heat source, it's difficult. And I'm hearing stories. I'm sure that Lois, Cajun Queen Tarot, she could tell you as well. It's adversely affecting everything, folks. And this is no nonsense. I mean, it is serious. And it goes to show, again, what weather does, how it impacts our life. And as I see myself on the delay, yes, I love this, because I'm seeing myself both. That's why time is fluid. You can really see it spatially. If you do YouTube as a creator, as the person, initiating, you're seeing yourself. You can go back and look at what's being broadcast. So I see myself both in the present. I see myself in the future past tense. And I can see myself in the past tense in the future. All while I'm surfing the now, baby. I love the now, yeah. So it's serious. So this is something we haven't done. We're going to get back into it because it is something that we all need. Listen, confession brings possession. That's all I can tell you. Give me 1 second. Oh, also, I don't have it right here, but you should be doing a smudging of your house today. Every room. Don't forget any room. Go all the way down in the basement if you have them. Go into that that back room no one wants to go into, but I'm telling you, you need to get the smudging happening. That's what I did. And I can still smell the sage, and there's also rose petal in there, and one other. But food is the new currency. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So don't confess to anything, Scotty Boy says. Well, I would take exception to that, Scotty. Here is what, as he digresses over to the document at hand. I found it. All right. Let me pull it up. So good to have y'all here. Happy birthday if you're having one. Y'all, y'all are just it's a groovy group here. I mean, if it's tense, you can come back. So let's say, I speak this over my body every day. So, but maybe if you haven't, then you can lend your energy to this as I speak it out. All these favors will come upon me, you, and overtake me if I give voice to them each day. Favor will be with me in the city, and favor will be with me in the country. Favor will heal my body when I speak favor into my body. Now remember, favor is grace. Favor is empowered to prosper. Favor is an abundance in all good things. The good being those things that are beneficial and what I would call brings prosperity. That's what favor is. So favor will be with me in the country, prosperity, protection. Favor will heal my body. Favor will set apart my children, my animals, and my ground as favored with abundance of joy. Doesn't matter where you are. If your abode, your place that you live in, speak favor over it. That ground is favored for you. Listen, I am of the belief, it's deep down in my spirit being, every place I put my foot has been given to me. But that's just me. Favored with abundance of joy. Favor will be on my food, my water, my pantry, my life force. I have favor. Even in the times when I am facing the challenges in the spirit realm, particularly when you're doing spiritual battle, and there's a lot of that going on right now. A lot of it's going on to many of us subconsciously. But it's something that I can rely on, that my life force is literally covered in love and favor. It prospers wherever I go. Favor will walk with me when I come in, and favor will be with me when I go out. Favor will cause my enemies to be at peace with me. Favor will be upon my barns and storehouses, where I keep my valuables to prosper and to be in safety. Favor will be upon me in everything I undertake. Favor will everything I set my hands to, favor shall cause it to prosper. Favor shall be upon all my material property and shall cause it to last longer and not break. I mean, that alone is worth having this faith. Faith is calling those things that be not as though they are. They become in your life. Look in your life right now. Whatever you have focused in on and what you actually believe is what's manifested in your life. It's a fact, Jack. Favor shall protect me, my offspring, and my possessions from calamity. Favor will lead me to good fortune in all things. Favor will cause me to be the head, not the tail. Favor will cause me to come out on top and not beneath. Favor will cause me to always be above and not below. And even when I face challenges, favor will always make it come out to my favor, my benefit. Always. Even if it seems as the darkest of times, I know favor is working in my behalf. And every word that I speak shall go forth and prosper in the thing for which I have spoken it for, and it shall return to me not void. Favor will cause me to have favor with the elements. Favor will cause me to be favored with the spirit realm. Favor will cause me to be favorable to everyone I meet. They will see me with favor. Favor will seek me out. It will overtake me and abide with me. No weapon of any kind shall harm me, nor will it prosper. It will be created in my words, and what was said has been done. Boom, baby. Now, I tell you, I don't know about you, but for me, that just makes me feel good. I have, the angry beaver, if you've ever seen the Angry Beavers, check it out. But Norm is like the coolest dude at all. Norm is the type of personality that always sees a challenge as a benefit, always sees it working out to his favor. That's what we're talking about. All right. So we got some booms. Love you, Susie Q. So Marsha Price, much love to you, dear. I have these things. Let me tell you something about the Antakarana. It's powerful. And you really should get one from Marsha. I'm just telling you, it is something y'all really need. Her information is in the description box. I mean, when you can do the smudging of your house and you carry this with you, I mean, there is power in this. Marsha explained to me the gematria, the sacred geometry, everything is in this. I mean, this is one I could hold up in my hand, and I could go through the battle of the most darkest realm with this in my hand. They back off, Jack. Hey, Mother Nature, what's up? Saw your program yesterday. Cool. Shung Knight, got a bunch of that over there. So anyway, let's have our libation, whatever that may be for me, you. For me, it's I love Bengal spice tea. It is so good for both me and me and me. So, all right. So let's go into this because we're going to be dealing with documents that were initially some 13, some as much as 25 years ago. We are coming up to a critical point in time. The date 2025 has been spoken about for nearly 50, maybe closer to maybe 70 years. In the community of, see, Marsha's in the house. Hey, Marsha, love you, dear. Showing your stuff, man. Anyway, we are coming up on a time that, well, it will be a significant marker in time. 2025 has been spoken about in so many ways. Now, the one that I have watched for nearly, there, see, Darth, he was doing a smudging as well. Yeah, this group, we're connected, man. If you believe Deagle, you know, check it out. Listen, it's been up there, and they've done everything to get people to go away. Don't pay attention to this. That's just all false and disinformation. You don't need to see this. But yet, the charts, the graphs, the GDPs of other countries are pretty much in line with, world economists. So what happens to the United States? Well, the story is there's a whole lot of us going to the other side. Shall we all get this together? There's a whole lot of us heading to the other side. They got a whole lot of us heading to the other side. About 200 million of us. I wonder if you're going to need a passport for that, huh? Who knows? I find it curious that the documents that we have, and Marsha, thanks. It's interesting because when you sent me this, when I looked into my files and I found another one that was directly related to this, and this is the synchronicity that we have here. Mother Nature's getting in it. Yep. Come on, brothers and sisters. Now, don't shout me down because I'm preaching good. Hey, folks, you got to have the joy in the heart. Otherwise, you're going to just be a big fart. And that's all I got to say about that. And no one likes to be around a person who's a big fart because it stinks. But now if you got joy, man, that's all I got to say. I hope not, Kent, because I won't have a ticket on that one. So let's get right into the subject matter of today. Hell, I've already been about 25 minutes into this. About time, Steiger. So here we go. I'm going to remove my face from here. So this document, as you can see, was May 5th, 2008. Commodity Future Trading Commission. Now, you can make a lot of money on commodities. I'm not recommending that, but just saying, commodities play everything. If you want to know what the future is going to be, go to the commodities market. In fact, go to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and you can really get a pretty good idea what's coming 6 months down the road. So anyway, this is the Andrea. She wrote this, and it's really interesting. I want to read this to you. You'll get it. Dear Commissioners and Secretary, not everything is a commodity, nor should something that is typically covered by some sort of property and casualty insurance suddenly become exchange tradable. Insurance companies for a number of years have provided compensation from some sort of random but periodic events. Where the insurance industry wants to offload their risk at the expense of other commodity markets participants contributes to sorts of moral hazards, which I vigorously oppose. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If where there is interest to develop these sort of risk event instruments, to me, it seems an admission that the insurance sector is perhaps marginal or worse, incompetent, or too greedy to determine how to offer insurance for events presumably produced by nature. And if you look at if you have house insurance, car insurance, renter's insurance, they always got the act of God kind of crap. It's they say nature, acts of nature. Yeah. Why? Well, because you never know what God's going to do or what nature's going to do. Well, you're going to see how wrong that may be. Now, where there are the weather and earth shaking technologies, or some circles call these weather and electromagnetic weapons, used insidiously, unfortunately, by our military, our intelligence apparatus, and perhaps our military contractors for purposes contrary to that which our public servants take their oath of office to the Constitution. I suggest prohibiting the use of that technology rather than leaving someone else holding the bag in the event destruction produced by, or where so-called natural events were produced by military contractor technology in the guise of Mother Nature. I encourage everyone to go to the globalresearch.ca. You can pick this up. It's interesting because this is how far it goes back. Senator Glenn passed away a long time ago. And Dennis Kucinich, well, we know his history as well. But she goes on and talks about some things in here that I find interesting. Now, she's talking about the Commodity Future Trading Commission, the CFTC. It asks for public for comment on appropriate regulatory treatment of financial agreements offered by markets commonly referred to as events, prediction, and information markets. Do you know, folks, this is so interesting. This area that we would call occultism, it's all in the financial markets. In fact, if you're really, really good, I mean really good at seeing the future, particularly in the area of food, you and I can point you in the direction where you might want to go. You literally can make $1 million easily within your first year. Well, let me rephrase that. Your second year will be more profitable. Your first year, you're going to have to show your stuff, so to speak. But I'm being very serious. The Federal Reserve, they consult what we would call the occult. Readers, seers. Yeah. Anyway, think about it. If you really have to be good though, folks. I mean, I'm just saying you really have to be good. And, you know, those people, I am not one of them. They do very well. They'll never have to be concerned about many things. Anyway, during the past several years, the CFTC has received numerous requests for guidance involving trading of event contracts. Do you know that there are contracts out there that you can buy that, for instance, I want to approach a certain insurance consortium and I want to buy, and I'm going to put, for instance, $100,000 on a catastrophic event that will happen within the next 6 months. Now, these contracts don't go extend all the way out. There are some that are years. The thing is, it's like playing roulette. I mean, I love 29. If your contract hits, well, you're going to do very well. And it's interesting. Yeah. Event markets are rapidly evolving and growing, presenting a host of difficult policy and legal questions, including what public purpose is served in the oversight of these markets and what differentiates these markets from pure gambling outside the CFTC's jurisdiction. Exactly. The acting chairman, Walt Lucan, said that CFTC is evaluating how these markets should be regulated with proper protections in place. And I encourage members listen, I mean, Fucci, you know, the little guy, the little Nazi dude, the Supreme Court slapped his ass down. He is one of these people that actually profits on catastrophe. suffering. His specialty is disease. But there are others in the energy sector. And insurance companies, listen, they'll take the money because they know the odds are there in favor. But as everything, every dog has his day, and sometimes has it 3 times in a day. And they call these event markets. So get that in response. So they've come up with this. Now, what is he talking about? I'm going to move ahead on this because why is this a big deal? You look at the Commodity Exchange Act, and this is now becoming, and they've dealt with this. There are regulations in place, but you can still invest. I'll put it that way. Now, here's the interesting thing. Weather as a force multiplier, owning the weather in 2025, a research paper presented to the Air Force in 2025 of August 1996. Now, folks, we will get into that because there is the document right there. It's 143 pages, but folks, yeah. All right, so let me get back over where we were here. All right. Below are highlighted highlights contained within the actual report. This person says, please remember that this research report was issued in 1996. 25 years ago. Isn't it odd how the number 25? In this case, when this came out, it was 8 years for them. And that much of what was discussed as being in preliminary stages back then is now reality. If that doesn't induce you to say, well, what the freak are they talking about? Then continue with your PlayStation. Just like Joe Biden. We have a guy who is playing video games for 10-year-olds. Anyway, I digress. In the United States, weather modification will likely become a part of national security, and it is, policy with both domestic and international applications. Our government will pursue such a policy depending on its interest at various levels. In this paper, we shall show the appropriate applications of weather modification that can provide a battle space dominance to a degree never before imagined. In the future, such operations will enhance air and space superiority and provide new options for battle space shaping and battle space awareness. The technology is there, waiting for us to pull it all together. General Gordon R. Sullivan, in his book, Moving into the 21st Century, America's Army and Modernization, the Military Review, July 1993, quoted by Mary Ann Seagraves and Richard Skinsberg, Weather, a Force Multiplier Military Review. A global, precise, real-time, robust, synthetic weather modification capability would provide war-fighting CINCS, an acronym meaning the Commander-in-Chief of the Unified Command, with a powerful force multiplier to achieve military objectives. Since weather will be common to all possible futures, a weather modification capability would be universally applicable and have utility across the entire spectrum of conflict. The capability of influencing the weather, even on a small scale, could change it from a force degrader to a force multiplier. It could also be a way of punishing a state. We continue. In 1957, the presidents, and that was President Eisenhower, by the way, and it's significant because Eisenhower, as the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of all Allied forces, knew about weather more than anything else. He has quoted many times that, in fact, some of the more, you could call them interesting, miraculous events Eisenhower often said, if prayer could do that, what would happen if we could really do that? Anyway, the Advisory Committee on Weather Control explicitly recognized the military potential of weather modification, warning in their report that it could become a more important weapon than the A-bomb. William B. Meyer, The Life and Times of U.S. Weather. Today, since 1969, weather modification is the alteration of weather phenomena over a limited area for a limited period of time. They're already doing it. Here in where I live in Colorado, we've actually seen it in action. We have seen it, and I know they're using modification here, that you can actually see the moisture coming over the Denver area, but literally just magically disappearing. It'll go north, it'll go south, it'll go east. Yeah. In the broadest sense, weather modification can be divided into two major categories: suppression and intensification of weather patterns. In extreme cases, it might involve the creation of completely new weather patterns, attenuation or control of severe storms, or even alteration of global climate on a far-reaching and/or long-lasting scale. Extreme and controversial examples of weather modification: creation of made-to-order weather. Do you get that? Large-scale climate modification, creation and/or control or steering of severe storms, etc., were researched as part of this study. The weather modification applications proposed in this report range from technically proven to potentially feasible. Now, we're talking 13 years ago. Applying weather modification to military operations. Now, in this one, I'm not going to read it all because there's a lot to cover here and we got a very limited time. What the United States Air Force has said is that they could deploy weather modifications. Now, I want you to stop and think about, what is SpaceX? What is Orion Blue, Amazon, Elon Musk's company, Microsoft? They're saturating our atmosphere with these low orbiting satellites. Now, they say that they're there to give the whole world access to the internet. But call me suspicious, but I know the military. And imagine if you deploy, and they're talking 100,000 of these low orbit modules, devices. It's a grid. Imagine if you begin to activate that grid for a nefarious purpose such as weather modification. Well, that's what's happening. And it gets into this. The options include range of effect, probability of success, resources to be expended, the enemy's vulnerability, and the risk involved. The CINC chooses an effective base on these inputs, and the WFSC then implements, that's the weather modification systems, implements the chosen course, selecting the right modification tools and employing them to achieve the desired effect. Sensors detect the change and feed the data on the new weather pattern to the modeling system, which updates its forecast accordingly in real time. The weather modification system then checks the effectiveness of its efforts by pulling down the updated current conditions and new forecasts from the GWIN network and the local weather data network, and the plans follow on the missions as needed. Now, here's what it looks like, folks. You see this? Yeah. Now, they're doing this right now. Oh, it gets so interesting. And I wrote in here in my note, so imagine this. People keep seeing these clusters, and they capture them all over the world, and they're saying, look at these UFOs. So I don't think they're UFOs at all. I think they're being deployed as cluster packs, and they're surrounding the Earth. And this one here shows how they're doing it. This is CENTCOM, Here is the Air Force personnel. Typing it in here. This goes to the Ops Center. Then from there, they employ this. Which type of weather modification tool do we need? For instance, do we need the triangle ships? Do we need something like the S2? Do we look at something like here that has the ability to increase electromagnetic concentration in detail in small group areas? Folks, I swear this is what they're using on us. They're using beam technology now, and this is showing how it works. We continue. 2 key technologies are necessary to meld an integrated, comprehensive, responsive, precise, and effective weather modification system. Here it is. Advances in the sciences of chaos are critical to this endeavor. Do you hear that is said? The science of chaos. Chaos theory, chaos magic are critical. Also key to the feasibility of such a system is the ability to model the extremely complex nonlinear system of global weather in ways that can accurately predict the outcome of changes in the influencing variables. Researchers have already, getting this, already successfully control single variable nonlinear systems in the lab and hypothesize that current mathematical techniques and computer capacity could handle systems up to 5 variables. They're already there. I mean, you're talking DNA quantum computing. They're already there. Been there. Advances in these 2 areas would make it feasible to affect regional weather patterns by making small, continuous nudges to one or more influencing factors. Conceivably, with enough lead time and the right conditions, you could get made-to-order weather. Why isn't that special? The total weather modification process would be a real-time loop of continuous, appropriate, measured interventions and feedback capable of producing desired weather behavior. The essential integration of weather modification system is the set of intervention techniques used to modify the weather. The number of specific intervention methodologies is limited only by the imagination, but with few exceptions, they involve infusing either energy or chemicals into the meteorological process in the right way at the right place and time. The intervention could be designed to modify the weather in a number of ways, such as influencing clouds and precipitation, storm intensity, climate, space, or fog. Now, this is an interesting thing that I really was not aware of, but I've got my sights on it now. It goes about in the participation. Significant beneficial influences can be derived through judicious exploitation of the solar absorption potential of carbon black dust. You can't see this stuff, but it is extremely flammable. You can literally saturate an individual using drones with black dust and then have an igniter, and it would make that person like they just spontaneously push a house, a car. Anyway, the study ultimately found that this technology could be used to enhance rainfall on the mesoscale, generate cirrus clouds, and enhance cumulonimbus clouds, the thunderstorm clouds, and otherwise dry areas. Well, we've known, already about cloud seeding. This is different. And oh boy, it gets really different. If we are fortunate enough to have a fairly large body of water available upwind from, say, a targeted battlefield, carbon dust could be placed in the atmosphere over that water. Assuming the dynamics are supportive in the atmosphere, the rising saturated air will eventually form clouds and rain showers downwind over the land. Numerous dispersal techniques of carbon dust have already been studied, but the most convenient, safe, and cost-effective method discussed is the use of afterburner type jet engines to generate carbon particles while flying through the targeted air. This method is based on injection of liquid hydrocarbon fuel into the afterburner's combustion gases. This explains why contrails have now become chemtrails. To date, much work has been done on the UAV. These are unmanned aviation vehicles, which can closely, if not completely, match the capabilities of piloted aircraft. They're already there. Most of the missions now that you'll see as the wars increase, and the wars are going to increase, this is how we fight a lot of them. It's how we take out the terrorist. If this UAV, and by the way, it is illegal to use it on American soil, or so they say, technology were combined with stealth and carbon dust technologies, the result could be a UAV aircraft invisible to radar while en route to the targeted area, which could spontaneously create carbon dust in any location. Isn't that special? If clouds were seeded using chemical nuclei similar to those used today, or perhaps a more effective agent discovered through continued research, and they have now, Bill Gates is invested in it. There have been articles in Time Magazine, Newsweek. I mean, this is not, conspiracy stuff. No, this is real. Before their downwind arrival at a desired location, the result could be the suppression of precipitation. In other words, precipitation could be forced to fall before its arrival in the desired territory, thereby making the desired territory dry. What happens when you begin to have severe drought? Eventually, the migration of humanity is going to be forced out. And once you force them out, then you reverse the weather modification and it becomes a paradise, but it's no longer legally allowed because now it's been designated a state, a federal park. Anyway, fog. This is an interesting one. Field experiments with lasers have demonstrated the capability to dissipate warm fog at an airfield with zero visibility. Smart materials based on nanotechnology are currently being developed with gigops computers capabilities at their core. They're already there. They could adjust their size to optimal dimensions for a given fog seeding situation and even make adjustments throughout the process. They might also enhance their dispersal qualities by adjusting their buoyancy. By communicating with each other, and by steering themselves within the fog. Now we're talking AI. They will be able to provide immediate and continuous effective feedback by integrating with a laser sensor network and can also change their temperature and polarity. That's incredible. Reverse your polarity? Wow. And if they can do this with drones, I bet you they can do it with the big ones. To improve their seeding effects, recent Army research lab experiments have demonstrated the feasibility of generating fog. They use commercial equipment to generate thick fog in the areas 100 meters long. Further study has shown fogs to be effective at blocking much of the UV-IR visible spectrum, effectively masking emitters of such radiation from IR weapons. What? And, it's real interesting because I'm going to switch over here real quick. This NASA document, again, this came out in July of 2001, would be 7 years before the document we're reading right now. It's interesting when you go through this document, and folks, it's 114 slides, but it is well worth, because we're living this. I mean, we're living it. It's no longer science fiction. It's no longer conspiracy theory. No, we're living it. And I would probably, if I was able to take a poll right now, would probably overwhelmingly say it sucks. And it does suck. I mean, Newsweek last July, I believe, was writing an article on an MIT paper that was being advanced for exactly that, modifying the weather and using dispersants that, as I said, ball is what they're exposing us to. What is ball? Barium, aluminum. Ball. I have it in my periodic chart right up here. Yes. So now I have barium and aluminum, and they've admitted to this. Well, Magellan's disease, I think I'm right on that one. Yeah. Becoming more and more a problem. So they have here on storms. For instance, they said a typical tropical storm has enough energy equal to 10,000 1 megaton hydrogen bombs. Yeah. In fact, 45,000 thunderstorms, which contain heavy rain, hail, microburst, wind shear, and lightning form around the world each day. Weather modification technologies might involve techniques that would increase latent heat released in the atmosphere. Hello, HARP. Provide additional water vapor for cloud cell development, and provide additional surface and lower atmospheric heating to increase atmospheric instability. The focus of the weather modification efforts would be to provide additional conditions that would make the atmosphere unstable enough to generate cloud and eventually storm cell development. Now, I want to go ahead on this because a book I never finished. It was called The Start. I stopped writing it because everything I was writing was coming to pass. But back in 2002, when I started the book, I did a whole complete theory on how the United States was going to be attacked. And I'm freaking out now, and I'll show it to you. I don't have enough time. I'll pull it up tomorrow because we're going to go on with this. But I saw the ability back in 2002. I was in Las Vegas. I was in a suite, and we were at a show, and I was writing. And I saw them biologically, they got a hold, in my hypothetical scenario, they were able to somehow or another get the 1918 influenza virus. And what they did, they modified this. And in my scenario, what they did is that they used the RNA of plants, grafting this modified DNA onto dust particles, which then would have been dispersed by aircraft. Sound familiar? That's why I quit writing the book. And plus it was pretty heavily, influenced in the Christian thing. But anyone want to know about it, write me and I'll give you some of the insights on it. Anyway, now this is what's interesting is all. They get into space weather modification. This section discusses opportunities for control and modification of the ionosphere and near space environment for forced enhancement. Anytime I see the word enhancement and forced combined together, that ain't a good combination. A number of methods have been explored and proposed to modify the ionosphere, including injection of chemical vapors and heating or charging via electromagnetic radiation or particle beams such as ions, neutral particles, X-rays, MEV particles, energy electrons, etc., etc. And here's the book that actually, the Peter M. Banks overview of isospheric modifications from space platforms. It is important to note that many techniques to modify the upper atmosphere have been successfully demonstrated experimentally. Now, folks, we can say, well, it's 13 years ago. I wonder where they are now. They ain't there anymore. They're a long ways. The ground-based modification techniques employed by Florida State University included vertical HF heating, oblique HF heating, microwave heating, and magnetic spheric modification. The creation of an artificial uniform ionosphere was first proposed by Soviet researcher A.V. Gorovich in the mid-1990s. An artificial ionospheric mirror, they called it AIM, would serve as a precise mirror for electromagnetic EM radiation of a selected frequency or a range of frequencies. And here it is, folks. Imagine what they're using this now. Mass mind control? How about, oh, gee, we don't like Texas for the way that they went, so let's use a little beam technology to enhance what normally would have been a 1-day or 2-day Blue Northerner event. No, let's begin to black dust the atmosphere, that the atmosphere becomes oversaturated in a extreme cold event. Yeah. We'll pick up tomorrow on artificial weather, and I promise you we will get into the Air Force document. So anyway, let me pull myself out of this. Oh, this stuff is... So how's it going in the chat room, everybody? Having fun with this? Yep, Marsha, she sent me. So if people want the document, you need to email Marsha. Or, in fact, there is actually a website that actually has the whole document on it as well. So I'm just reading some of this. Spirit woman, yeah. It's interesting what you can write about. See, there's people in Texas. Texas is a big place, so I'm hoping that the power is being turned back on. Yep, the powers to be, they don't like Texas. Well, you're welcome, Mother Nature. I appreciate you, hon. Yeah, they don't. You know, Texas is the only nation, the only state that legally can separate itself from the United States, give the United States the big finger and say, F you. And if this succession thing ever plays out, Texas will be the first to do it. Texas has the 5th largest world economy. And if Texas ever succeeded, they could put the screws to the federal government big time. So anyway, everything's bigger in Texas. It's so true. Well, thank you, Mother Nature. I'll go back and look at that. How sweet of you. Thank you. Texas doesn't like... folks, we're in a time of who knows. You know what? Mother Nature, that's for everybody. We are a groovy group here. And so tomorrow we'll continue on this, because this is interesting, because it doesn't just stop there. No. It doesn't stop there. And when I read headlines that Bill Gates says that everyone should eat 100% synthetic beef. Okay. When I hear the word synthetic to beef, those are two words I don't associate with one another. I don't like synthetic vegetables. I don't like genetic modified organisms that are classified as food. Corn, no. Listen, when mankind starts playing God, it always ends bad for us. Always. And when you get sick individuals just because they have money, beginning to think that they are God, oh my God, we need to get the hell out of town. Plastics, there's another one. Oh, we lost 2 from chat. I don't know what that means. So anyway, hey Ron, what's up? The soulless evil controllers are pulling every dirty weapon they can. Yeah, I think they are. It looks awfully strange. Yeah, that's all I know. Justice for all. Go ahead and show him. That's fine. They don't care about us. They don't. But we say BOSTO to them back, be of service to others. They'll look at you and say, on your knees, boy. What wasn't the line with YouTube? If you want to learn how to pray, get on your knees, something like that. Anyway. All right, folks, this has been a fun time. It has been. I mean, this is knowledge. Thank you, Marsha. And we're going to get into this because we're living it. It isn't no longer theory. They're actually doing it. And we're living it. And it sucks. I mean, in the area I live in, I mean, we can't buy an inch of moisture here. I mean, it's just dry. And if it continues this way, it's going to be a tough summer. Some are expecting it to be, off the charts hot. I hope not. But if it is, Elder Barry, you're welcome. Don't touch his food. Jenny, I'm going to have Jenny on next week. Jenny, I'd like you to join us with Trina. Love to have you on next Tuesday. It would be fun. All right, everyone. Much peace to you. Keep well. Love yourselves. If you find the negative energy, smudge your house. Seriously, it works. Cast them things to the nothingness. I was rebuked in my travel because they tell me I do that too quickly. And it does. I mean, there is a place called the nothingness. It's not the emptiness, it's the nothingness. And it is a place that spirits don't want to go to. So anyway, all right, folks, later. Y'all are good. Much love to you. I haven't said to you at all. I'm Shante. You're beautiful and you know it. All right. Bye-bye, folks.